Alrighty, so today we are going to finish up the review of match week number 6, and coincidentally, we're going to look at the last 6 of these games where all of them are Western Conference game. Well, actually, that's not true. One of them actually is an interconference matchup, but 5 of these 6 are pretty much Western Conference affair. And we start off with the first one between Sporting KC versus LAFC, and fortunately for Sporting KC, there was no crazy comeback this time in the second half. And this is not a surprise because, one, LAFC is not Minnesota. LAFC usually don't blow leads, especially against team that they should take care of it, and that's exactly what they did in this game. Now, early on in the first 16 minutes, yeah, it was a bit of a snooze fest. Not much really happened in the first 16 minutes. In fact, the first shot of the game, see Polskev robbed Holland's head from point blank, but in the 18th minute, on the second shot of the game, in the back of the net for LAFC, as David Martinez, he scored an absolute screamer from Delgado to make it 1-0 in favor of LAFC. And while we admire the amazing goal that David Martinez have scored, this also came off of a bad turnover from Sporting KC. Yeah, we've seen that a lot this season from this SKC defense and especially this midfield as well. And when you give the ball away in a bad spot to LAFC, you're going to get punished more times or not. And then it almost was 2-0 if it wasn't for the post denied Unda from close range. Shingas Unda has been very unlucky so far for LAFC. I have a feeling eventually he's going to get his first goal for LAFC, but it was all LAFC early on this one. And this feels like it's a repeat of last week for Sporting KC against Minnesota, where they were pretty much being second best against the team that looks like it's going to manhandle them. But in the 32nd minute, Martinez would puts one into the stands as 33 minutes in. Sporting KC have yet to register a shot. It took literally the first minute of stoppage time before they finally registered the first shot of the game in the first half, as Lloris actually had to deny Garcia from close range. But we do head to halftime with LAFC leading 1-0. They would make it 2-0 not long into the second half, as Aaron Long would score to make it 2-0 in favor of LAFC. Postgame actually made a great save here from Holland's head, and something tells me Holland's head might be having nightmares of John Postgame with the amount of times he got robbed by him. But fortunate for LAFC, Aaron Long was in the right place, right town to tap that one in, and just like that, it was 2-0 in favor of LAFC. There was a shout for a penalty that was not given for LAFC, and then a penalty was given to Sporting KC in the 71st minute. Or was it? Because VAR did look to see whether or not if Martinez got the ball first before he took down Suleimani. He did, so therefore no penalty was given to SKC. Yoboa then puts it wide from close in the 78th minute, and it just doesn't seem like it's going to be a miraculous comeback for Sporting KC. I mean, LAFC pretty much locked it down. Sporting KC pretty much looked flat and uninspired, though they did have a couple of chances late in this game. Agata would miss wide from close in the 82nd minute, before Lloris would deny Rodriguez on the free kick, and the boos were loud when it was the full time whistle was sound. Even though there wasn't a lot of people inside Children Mercy's Park, it was loud in terms of the boos. You can clearly see the frustration in this fan base right now, and especially after today, we saw our first head coach end up in the chopping block. Something tells me Peter Remis is not that far away from being there. But the shots in this one, 10 shots compared to 8 that LAFC had, 4 shots on goal compared to 2 that Sporting KC had, 1 shots off target compared to 2 that LAFC had, 1 shot that was blocked compared to 7 that Sporting KC had, and possession-wise, 53% possession compared to 47% possession that LAFC has. And I think somebody mentioned that Sporting KC have not won a game in 187 days. Yeah, that is brutal. Right now, again, it is pretty clear that the only thing you can say that can fix this team is they got to do it. They have to eventually move on from Peter Remis, and that, I think with these results continue to go badly for the Sporting KC side, I think the front office has no choice. I mean, I know they're showing a lot of leeway and a lot of loyalty toward Peter Remis, but I will not be surprised if this winless run continue, that we could see a statement and finally see the longest 10-year active head coach finally get the axe after 15 plus years. Now, moving on, in terms of the next match, is Portland and Colorado. And I gotta say, the Timbers, for whatever reason, they just have the Rapids number. I mean, whenever the Timbers play against Colorado, especially at home, they tends to play well. Them on the road, it's a bit of a hit and miss, but the Timbers definitely put up their best display in this one against the Rapids. Now, early on, Cabral had a tapped in there, but he was crucially blocked away by Flory. I mean, Flory pretty much came out of nowhere to block that one away. Marino with the game's first shot, but he missed one in the 12th minute. The shots were 3-1 for the Timbers early on, with them getting some half chances, though, not much really trouble the backup goalkeeper of the Rapids, that is Beaudry. So, Stefan, of course, not being in this game. I think he's on international duty with the U.S., which is not a big surprise because with how well he's been playing the beginning of the season, I think Stefan might be finding himself right back into that conversation, especially with how Turner has really struggled with the U.S. in those two Nations League game. But in the 42nd minute, Mauro was in on goal there, but he was crucial. But his shot was crucially blocked by Moreno. And then in the second minute of stoppage time, we do see the opening goal of this game, and it's an own goal by Josh Atencio, and it was actually a lovely backheel there from Josh Atencio, but the problem was, yeah, he hit it in the wrong net. So just like that, it was 1-0 in favor of the Timbers. That would be the scoreline heading into the second half. In the second half, Cabral would hit it right to Pentemes, but then in the 48th minute, Anthony. He loved playing against the Rapids. He feels like he's always score against the Rapids, and he scored again here from Moreno to make it 2-0 in favor of the Portland Timbers. I even say against his favorite team to score because it feels like the only team that he has scored during his time with the Timbers is against the Colorado Rapids. The Rapids did look to respond, but I thought the Timbers did some great last ditch defending to keep the making sure the Rapids are back into this game. They did a lot of that in the first half as well, as I mentioned, some last ditch block that avoid the Rapids a chance to get back into this game. Though in the 57th minute, Baldry then denied the Costa in the near post before he denied Moreno from close in the 65th minute as the Timbers were pressing for the third goal to really put this game away. Sermon would then heads it right to Baldry, but then the 75th minute, they do get the third goal. It's Kevin Kelsey. He scored from Forey and DaCosta to make it 3-0 in favor of the Timbers. It's the first goal for Kevin Kelsey with the Portland Timbers, and hopefully maybe many more coming throughout the season. Murphy then tried to do a little shot cross, but his attempt was tipped over by Pentemes, and then Yappy would heads it wide from close range. As in the end, the Timbers they get the 3-0 win against the Rapids, easily the best performance that they have played under Phil Neville, and a much needed win as well because things have not looked well for this Portland Timbers side to start the season. The shots in this one, 11 shots compared to 10 that the Rapids had, 2 shots on goal compared to 5 that the Timbers had. Both teams had 4 shots off target, 4 shots that was blocked for the 2 that the Timbers had, and possession-wise, 52% possession compared to the 48% possession the Rapids has in this game, and the Rapids unbeaten run comes to an end after this game as well. We had a couple teams that had their unbeaten run come to an end this week as well. And really, when you look at the Rapids, I feel like they're kind of similar to DC, where that unbeaten run is a little bit deceiving, considering that there were some games where they were outplayed badly and they got very fortunate with the result. I think the game last week against the Quakes kind of rings into the mind where that game, yes, they won that game on the road, but if it wasn't for Zach Steffen standing on his head, they probably would have lost that game against the Quakes. But now moving on in the next match is RSL and FC Dallas. So FC Dallas continue their winning ways. Well, I say continue their winning ways. It's mostly on the road too. It feels like for whatever reason this season they tend to do better on the road compared to when they're doing better at home, which is usually kind of the opposite of what we see with FC Dallas. Though not much really happened in the first 15 minutes of this game. The first shot of the game did see Chu miss wide, and then in the 23rd minute we had a bit of a controversy as Puyol would get sent off for this serious foul play on Delgado. I don't think that is worthy of a red card or a serious foul play. And to kind of quote what Jamie Watson said in this game, it was a bang bang play. I think both of these guys was kind of getting to the ball at once, and it's just unfortunate that Puyol probably kind of landed a little bit studs up toward Delgado, but I just think that with the way that both of those players were going for the same ball, it feels like it was very harsh. I think a yellow card probably would have been a better option, but nevertheless, the RSL was down to 10 men up to this point. Delgado himself would then miss wide from close before Cabral would deny legit from close, and Dallas definitely looking like they were taking advantage of being a man up. They were pressing to looking for the opening goal, and they had a chance to do so in the 32nd minute as a penalty was given to Dallas as Acosta was chopped down by Vera in the box. Yeah, the crowd was not happy about that. In fact, they were so unhappy with that call. They told the ref that he really sucked, and it's understandable. Consider I'm pretty sure the crowd was still fuming about the red card that was handed out. That was incredibly harsh. Now this one, I think it was the right call, but it doesn't help the fact that yeah, that RSL crowd they definitely haven't forgot about the red card, and yeah, like I said, the ref was there until he really sucked because of that. But that being said, in the 34th minute, here comes Lucho Acosta to step up to take the penalty. He usually doesn't miss from the spot, but Raul says no. He denied Acosta from the spot. And to be fair, it wasn't really a great penalty from Lucho Acosta. Lucho Acosta usually is a very good penalty kick taker, but that was definitely one of his worst attempt. And Cabral just kind of gets the right way, make the save there to keep it 0-0. Musa then puts it over from close range, and just as RSL thought that they were able to head to halftime 0-0, in the 7th minute of stoppage time, Acosta would get on the score sheet. So he scored here to make it 1-0 in favor of Dallas, and really just a backbreaker for RSL. They were so close of heading to halftime, holding that resort and maybe regroup heading into the second half. But giving up a late goal like that, that's just got to be absolutely killer. But yeah, we do head to halftime with Dallas leading 1-0. In the second half, Ojeda with a rare RSL chance, but he puts it over before Musa who puts it wide from close range. We then go for a period where not much really happens, which I thought that kind of favor for Dallas with them to have the lead. Brook would then puts it just high from long range, and in the post would deny Farfan and Dallas the second goal. And there's no doubt that Dallas is pressing hard to try to get that second goal, and they know that yes, they have a man up, but is that inability to get that second goal is it going to come back to haunt them? Well, in the 76th minute, Cabral would deny Leggett from close range. It feels like Rafael Cabral was channeling his Nick Rimondo in this game. He was doing his best to try to keep RSL in this game, and in some way, just like what I said about Ben Lund in the last review, I feel bad for Rafael Cabral. He really played very well in this game, just kind of almost standing on his head, making a penalty kick save to keep his team in this game as long as possible. And Sambale would then hits one right to Cabral before Kula. He would have a rare save here to deny Glad from close range, and then Glad would hits it right to Kuladi as well, as all of a sudden RSL was pushing late to get the equalizer. It feels like maybe Pablo Mastroeni says that, well, let's just go for it because we have really nothing to lose with this game being 1-0 and being down a man. But unfortunately, they weren't able to get the equalizer. There was definitely a lot of booze that was raining down at the riot. Not quite sure if that was toward the team because RSL has not got off to the best start of the season, or maybe toward the referee because yeah, there were definitely some questionable call this game that kind of gone against RSL in this one. But nevertheless, Dallas would take the win on the road as they win 1-0 in this one. Shots in this one, 15 shots committed, 11 that RSL had. 3 shots on goal committed, 5 that Dallas had. 5 shots off target committed, 3 that RSL had. 3 shots that was blocked committed, 4 that RSL has. And possession-wise, 51% possession compared to 49% possession that RSL has in this game. Now, moving on in the next match, is Seattle and the Houston Dynamo. So it feels like Houston pretty much did something similar to what NYCFC did to Columbus, where they come into this game had no no encouragement to attack whatsoever, and just kind of simply park the bus and hope that they can get a no draw. And again, this has happened a lot this season, and surprisingly, it actually have worked out a lot for a lot of teams that kind of had that approach, and it worked out again for the Dynamo. I mean, I don't blame Van Olsen try to do so because so far his team has not got off to a great start, and especially they need to be much better in terms of their defensive forward too. But also, they're heading to a place where they never won in their franchise history. I mean, Lumen Field is basically a house of horror for the Houston Dynamo. But in the first half, not much happened early 13 minutes in. The first shot of the game did see Urso puts it high from long range before Rothrock would hits one right to Maurer. We then go through another period of time where not much really happened as the shots were only one apiece 35 minutes in. So the Dynamo was doing a good job in terms of frustrating the Seattle team that was pretty toothless throughout this game. João Paulo would then puts it over from close before Maurer denied Leva in the 39th minute as the Sounders started to create some sustained pressure. They were looking for the opening goal. Maurer then denied Rodon after just a bad giveaway there from the Dynamo. Yeah, the Dynamo got away with that that one there before Leva would miss wide from long range in the second minute of stoppage time, and we do head to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. In the second half, Rusnak would have a shot that was deflected and goes wide before I thought the Sounders picked up where they left off and looked for the opener. Ladero then puts it wide off of an overhead kick. Imagine if Nico Ladero scored that goal against his former team. I mean, that would have been an interesting story to tell. And also kudos to the Sounders in terms of giving an honorary kind of welcome back to Nico Ladero. I mean, he is definitely well loved in the Sounders community and will forever be a legend for the Sounders. And yeah, if he would have scored against the Sounders there. I mean, I'm pretty sure a Sounders fan will have mixed reactions, similar to what I have when I saw Christian Ramirez scoring against my team over this weekend. But in the 61st minute, Rothrock looked like got the opening goal of the game, but the goal was disallowed for offside, and it was not even close. I mean, he was like 5 or 6 yards offside. I like how he was still kind of frustrated the fact that he was offside, even though deep down he knows that yeah he was way offside there. But Maurer would then have to be subbed off in this one as Blake Gillingham, the third choice goalkeeper for the Dynamo, were subbed in this one. And it's a shame, too, because I thought Jimmy Maurer had a pretty good game up to this point. But here comes the third string Gillingham stepping into this game, and not an easy spot for a young goalkeeper that have never made an appearance in MLS. And really, as the time winds down, like I said, it's pretty clear that the Dynamo had no interest to attack in this game. They were trying to park the bus and hold on to a scoreless draw. No, they did have a chance in the 82nd minute as Bossy would head it wide from close, and then in the 83rd minute, Gillingham would get his first save in MLS, denying Manungu, but it falls back to Rothrock a chance to pounce on the rebound, but he puts one into the stands, and then Rusnak would puts one in the stands on the free kick, and it just kind of feels like it's one of those days for the Sounders where they were absolutely toothless in front of goal. And keep in mind, Jordan Morris didn't play in this one, so maybe that kind of plays a big part of it. Ponce then hits one right to Fry in the 88th minute. But yeah, in the end, the Dynamo, they get the 0-0 draw that they were looking for coming in to this game. A rare draw that they had against the Sounders on the road. Like I said, anytime when they get a draw against the Sounders, it's going to be considered almost like an MLS Cup win for them, considered they never beat the Sounders or rarely get points away from Lumen Field. Shots in this one, 16 shots for the six that the Dynamo has, one shots on goal for the four that Seattle has, six shots off target for the four that the Dynamo has, one shot that was blocked for the four that Seattle has, and possession-wise, 55% possession compared to 45% possession the Dynamo has in this game. So another very frustrating night for the Sounders. This kind of started to feel like a little similar to last year for Brian Schmidt's the Sounders team, not getting off to a great start and having tough time figuring out the attack. Though again, this was a game that they did not have their most important goal scorer in Jordan Morez, and then also not to mention with Paul Arriola done for the season, that's another attacking threat that they're going to be missing dearly, and we'll see whether or not if they will make some move, especially like I said, that Paul Arriola injury that is just a huge blow to this Sounders team, consider the thing that he can bring to the table and help this attack is kind of the reason why they brought him in the first place in the offseason. But that being said, I am now going to switch board and look at the last two game. And actually, you know what? We're not even going to stop the video. We're just going to switch the board right now because I've done this before, where I just switch the board on the fly because why not? Since it's a relatively quick process, let's just do it right away. As we're now switching the board, and hopefully the board will still be visible because sometimes it can be a little bit blurry, but looking on my recording page, it looks like it is pretty clear for you guys to see. But now moving on in the next game, we're going to talk about the Vancouver Whitecaps and the Chicago Fire. So as I mentioned before, we saw a couple of teams that have their unbeaten run comes to an end, but we also saw on Saturday that a perfect run has finally come to an end. And again, I apologize to the Vancouver Whitecaps because that video that I made just a couple of days before they played this game. That might be a video that I'm pretty sure Whitecaps fans would say, "Yep, you jinxed it. You just had to make a video about our near perfect run and pretty much our perfect run in the regular season, and they for their first loss of the season. Though to be fair, I did even said in that video that there were a case where I could sense that they might lose their first game, and this one might be the case. Because the Chicago Fire, no pun intended, they are on fire right now. And Greg Berhalter, I'm pretty sure that he definitely heard those haters in the beginning of his tenure with this Fire team, and he has definitely silenced a lot of the haters in these last couple of games, especially these last couple of games on the road for the Chicago Fire. But in the first half, and literally 52 seconds into this game, they scored the opening goal of the game. I mean, I thought that was a Vancouver kind of thing. They're usually the one that scored the early goal, but instead, it's the Fire the one that able to do so. As Hugo Kuipers, he continued his red hot streak. He scored from Zinchenko and Barroso to make it 1-0 in favor of the Fire. That's his fifth goal of the season as well, Hugo Kuipers, and he's definitely nicking away Ty Baribo early surge to the season with 6 goals to start the season. In the 11th minute, Zinchenko would look for another for the Fire, but he was denied by Takaoka. I thought the Fire was definitely on the front foot. They were by far the better team, was pushing for another. But then in the 14th minute, because this is the Chicago Fire, know that even when they're on the foot, yeah, they're gonna have these kind of moments where they give up a goal when they're the better team, as Danny Rios would score his first goal for the Whitecaps from Nelson and McKenzie to tie the game up at 1 apiece. Again, really completely against the run of play, because up to that point, the Whitecaps, they didn't really do much going for it on the attacking end. We go for a period where not much really happened. In the 33rd minute, Elliott would heads it wide before Brady would deny Nelson on the curler. The brother then heads it wide from close in the 45th minute, but we do have to halftime with the score tied up at 1 apiece. In the second half, not much really happened to start the second half. That all changed in the 62nd minute, and this is when you know that this is not the Chicago Fire of the old. The old Chicago Fire would give up a couple more goals after giving up the equalizer like they did, but this feels like it's a reborn Chicago Fire side under Greg Berhalter, because Zinchenko would score his first career MLS goal, and it really was a gift too, because Priso kind of gave the ball away in the worst possible area in his own box, and Zinchenko said, "Thank you very much." He buries his first career MLS goal to give the Fire the lead back, and then he was looking for another because he was very active in the game, but unfortunately he hits it right to Takoka in the 68th minute. Brady then denied Ocampo from close before Saban would put said Y on the volley. The Whitecaps were definitely ramping up the pressure and looking to keep their unbeaten run and maybe a perfect record intact. And again, if this was the old Chicago Fire, they probably would have given up that equalizer, and maybe even giving up a third goal to complete an incredible comeback that the Whitecaps has had. But like I said, this is not the old Chicago Fire. This is a new reborn team. Bakayoko would deny Konami from long range, and then Chateau would put it high on the volley. But then in the 5th minute of stoppage time, Chicago would pretty much put lights out to Vancouver's perfect season, as Konami would score his first career MLS goal to make it 3-1 in favor of the Fire. Like I said, just puts out the lights out on Vancouver's perfect season, because with this win, the Fire and Vancouver's perfect season, and I think they were one of the last. Well, they weren't the last team to be unbeaten. I think there were a couple of teams that are still unbeaten, if I'm not mistaken. But with this win, the Fire make it 3 wins in a row on the road. They have already had more wins on the road than they had entirely last season. Like I said, this is not the old Chicago Fire that I'm pretty sure Fire fans have known for. But the shots in this one: 13 shots for the 9 that the Fire has, 5 shots on goal for the 2 that Vancouver has, 5 shots off target for the 1 that the Fire has, 3 shots that was blocked for the 4 that Vancouver has, and possession-wise, 55% possession compared to 45% possession that Chicago has in this game. And for Vancouver, there's no shame in terms of losing this game. You know that that no team is going to go perfect throughout the 34 games, and in fact, it sometimes could be good to finally lose a game to kind of just regroup to see what went wrong. And really, I think the only thing that you can say that kind of went wrong in this game is their defensive shape wasn't as good as we've seen in previous game, and also they do miss Brian White badly in this game, as he was with international duty with the U.S. men's national team. Now moving on into the last game on this board is Austin and San Diego FC. So this is the lone Sunday game. They advertise this game as Sunday Night Soccer, even though this game happened at the daytime. So that's kind of a bit of a guided kind of advertisement. But nevertheless, it was actually a pretty entertaining game, and a game that I thought Austin looked like they were gonna pull away with this one, and they almost made it pay for not making this more comfortable on themselves against San Diego. But from the first minute, there was a bit of a nervy moment for the expansion side as McVay and Dos Santos kind of had a bit of a miscommunication, and fortunate for San Diego, did not come back to bite them. That's something you usually don't see happen, especially this season when that San Diego backline has been surprisingly very solid this year. I mean, I had a lot of question when it comes to their backline this season, but that backline and CJ Dos Santos has kind of is almost a second coming of Brad Stuver with how good he's been in net. But as expected, San Diego has most of the possession early. Didn't really matter because in the 10th minute, Austin takes the lead, and it's Brandon Vasquez finally getting his first career goal for Austin. I mean, you just kind of had a sense it was going to happen eventually, and he finally opens his account for Los Verdes. He scored from Rubio to make it 1-0 in favor of Austin, and this was just a simple long ball that was played over the top. That would be a key to success for Austin in this game, and maybe a blueprint of how to actually beat the San Diego team in the future as well. But in the 18th minute, Vasquez was in on goal again, but he hits it right to Dos Santos. And despite the fact that Vasquez scored a goal in this one, he could have easily had a hat trick in this game. And I'll tell you why in just a bit. But Austin definitely looked dangerous on those direct balls. San Diego was having a tough time dealing with. And in the 19th minute, they doubled their lead as John Gallagher would score from Wolf to make it 2-0 in favor of Austin. Heads up play there from Owen Wolf, knowing that San Diego was just completely switched off because they were still complaining about the foul. And I understand that, teams are going to be frustrated with a foul that goes against you, but you got to also make sure you need to be switched on at all time, because when you switch off and you kind of complain for a foul for too long, yeah, opposition is going to take that quick free kick, and just like that, you get caught sleeping, and that's exactly what happened to San Diego in that play. De La Torre did look to respond, but he missed wide in the 25th minute. But he did respond for San Diego just 3 minutes later as he scored his first career MLS goal from Valicari to make it 2-1 in favor of Austin. It took a deflection as well, but nevertheless, San Diego deserved to get one back. And up to this point, I thought, oh boy, are we going to be in for a bit of a shootout? Because coming into this game, both of these teams are not known to score a lot of goals in a game. Dwyer would then look for the lead or look for the equalizer, that is, but it was deflected right to Stuver before Valicari has it wide from close. Vasquez then puts it over from close range, and again that came from a direct ball, and that is been a problem for San Diego in this game. They just simply cannot deal with those direct ball and those quick transition. And as I said, that might be the blueprint when it comes playing against San Diego, where, as long as you can catch them on the counterattack and you play quickly, then you are going to find some success when they when you play against. And this is also where I'm actually kind of excited as a Minnesota fan, because that's kind of the style that Eric Ramsey play, and I'm very interested to see how Mikey Veras will handle Minnesota, where that is the team that is the kings in terms of going quickly on the transition and playing quickly directly, where they really struggle in this game against Austin. We do head to halftime with Austin leading 2-1. In the second half, Rubio looked for another, but he missed high from long range, and then Heinz Ike would miss just wide off the deflection. Austin was definitely pressing for the third and trying to get that two-goal lead back. Vasquez was 1v1 with the keeper here, but he missed completely wide on the chip, and you just kind of had a sense that these chances that Austin was getting, especially for Brandon Vasquez, is that going to come back to haunt him? In fact, he had another chance in the 58th minute, but he puts it over from the curler. And again, I know he finally opened his account for Austin, but you just kind of had a sense that Brandon Vasquez is still not looking comfortable. He's still looking to find his goal scoring touch, because, if this was Brandon Vasquez doing his day with Cincinnati, pretty much he would have had a hat trick by now. He's one of the most lethal goal scorers in MLS during his time with Cincinnati, but here it just feels like he's still off, and at times he kind of overthinked it, and I think that's kind of the message that Nico Estevez might be telling his star striker, that don't overthink it. Just find a corner and then put it away. There's no need to be cute in terms of trying to dink it and curl it past the goalkeeper. But in the 61st minute, Dos Santos would deny Bakari in the box, and then he denied Bakari again as he was able to push that one off the post. And again, CJ Dos Santos, he's really kind of the second coming of Brad Stuver, and the reason why I'm making the Brad Stuver uh, uh, the Brad Stewart reference is the fact that Dos Santos being a backup goalkeeper going to an expansion team and find success, similar to what we saw with Brad Stewart when he went to Austin, when Austin came into the league as he was a backup for NYCFC. But yeah, Dos Santos was doing everything to keep San Diego in this game and keep their unbeaten record. Stuver would then deny Dreyer from close in the 75th minute, and then Dreyer would puts it over from close range. And this is where, again, Austin inability to score that third goal, is that going to come back to haunt them, because now San Diego is really pressing hard to try to get the equalizer. Stuber would then deny Verskov from close, and then Verskov would head it off the post from the corner, and you could just sense that Austin is on a tight rope right now. I mean, they are just hanging on for dear life to trying to preserve this 2-1 win. And luckily for them, they do exactly that as they hand San Diego their first loss ever in the MLS play with a 2-1 win. The shots in this one, 10 shots compared to 16 that San Diego has, 4 shots on goal compared to 5 that Austin has, 5 shots off target compared to 3 that San Diego has, 7 shots that was blocked compared to none that Austin has, and possession-wise, 70% possession compared to 30% possession that Austin has in this game. And don't look now, but Austin is currently second in the Western Conference. And well, this start for Nico Estevez in terms of how Austin have played hasn't really been pretty. It doesn't matter. Yeah, as long as you're getting points, and especially when your star attacking players are still struggling and you're still able to win games. Something tells me this team, as things get along, and if they get the balance right, this team could be a threat in the Western Conference. I mean, they have been a team that has surprised a lot of people and take down some big opponents. I mean, they're the one that walk into BMO Stadium getting all 3 points, and now they took an expansion side that is San Diego that looked like they were having a very St. Louis kind of expansion start to their life in MLS. But unfortunately for San Diego, that was not meant to be. They didn't reach St. Louis level of going for their first five games unbeaten. But really, for San Diego, I think this is just like what I said about Vancouver. It's good that they finally lose a game where Mikey Veras would address what went wrong for this team. And the one thing that clearly went wrong with this team, and I think the real weakness that we're starting to see with San Diego, is them getting exposed on the counter attack. And I'm not surprised that is the case, because when you're a team that has a lot of possession like San Diego does, and especially them like to push the line high up to keep possession, you're going to be exposed yourself on the counter attack. And I think that is also going to be a thing that he's got to figure it out, because there's going to be other teams when they face San Diego, and they're just going to look at this game as a blueprint and say that, well, as long as we can catch San Diego on the counterattack, as long as we give the ball to San Diego as much as we want, because for even with the possession, I still think San Diego does kind of lack a little bit when it comes to what they do with the ball at time with all the possession that they had. And if you can catch them on the counterattack, then that's where the opportunity is going to come. But there you have it. That is pretty much it for the review of all 6 of these games to finish off match week number 5. As always, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of these games, as we're going to be having another full slate of action happening in April. And this time, hopefully, I will not be sick this weekend and able to catch all of these action. And especially with the way that I'm pretty sure teams are going to be very happy to see most of their players back due to international duty. I think these kind of resort, I'm not surprised we see some surprising resort this week, because with some guys are out because of international duty, it does kind of throw some wackiness in terms of some of the resort. But yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of these teams are going to be happy that they will be full strength, or at least close to full strength, by the time next weekend comes. But until then, hope you guys enjoy this video. If you do, make sure you guys do like, smash the subscribe button. As always, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of these 6 games to finish off the review for match week number 5. But until then, hope you guys enjoy this video, and I will see you guys next time.